How would you like to unlock the very gates of heaven right here, right now? Imagine having the actual keys to divine power, keys not just to understanding, but to opening doors that seem eternally shut. For centuries, faithful souls have sought this profound connection, this direct line to the miraculous. Many believe it's reserved for a select few, for saints or mystics of old. But what if I told you that the Apostle Peter, the very rock upon which Christ built his church, left us not one, but 7 hidden keys, practical, powerful principles that can transform your spiritual life and grant you access to God's abundant grace? These aren't abstract theological concepts. They are tangible, actionable insights straight from the heart of the first pope, designed to empower every believer. The truth is, we often feel like we're knocking on closed doors. Whether it's a prayer that seems unanswered, a struggle that won't yield, or a deep longing for a closer walk with God, there are moments when the divine feels distant. We yearn for breakthrough, for clarity, for a tangible sign of God's presence in our lives. That feeling of being on the outside, of wishing for more, is universal. But the good news is, Peter, in his journey from a simple fisherman to the leader of the early church, encountered and mastered principles that literally moved mountains. He wasn't just a witness to miracles, he became an instrument of them. And his profound understanding of faith and divine access is encapsulated in these hidden keys. In this video, we're not just going to talk about ancient history. We're going to dive deep into Peter's lived experience, examining specific moments and teachings that reveal these 7 powerful insights. We'll explore how his unwavering faith, his humility in failure, his radical obedience, and his passionate love for Christ became the very mechanisms through which God worked wonders. These aren't mere historical anecdotes. They are blueprints for our own spiritual growth, direct instructions on how to cultivate the kind of faith that moves God's hand. We will uncover how Peter, empowered by the Holy Spirit, used these keys to heal the sick, cast out demons, and spread the gospel with unprecedented authority. You'll discover how to apply these same principles to your own prayers, your own challenges, and your own desire for a more profound relationship with the divine. Get ready to unlock the doors that have stood in your way, because Peter's legacy offers a direct path to divine intervention. Now let's unlock the very first of Peter's 7 hidden keys, a principle so foundational yet so often overlooked. Radical humility. Think about Peter at the beginning. He was impulsive, boisterous, often quick to speak and, well, sometimes quicker to stumble. Remember that moment when he confidently declared he'd never deny Jesus, only to spectacularly do just that, not once but 3 times. That wasn't just a failure, it was a profound lesson in self-knowledge. A humbling experience that stripped away his self-reliance and exposed his absolute need for God. This isn't about being meek or self-deprecating in a negative way. No, this is about a deep, radical honesty with yourself and with God, acknowledging that true power comes not from our own strength, but from surrendering to His. Peter, after his agonizing denial, didn't give up. Instead, he allowed that immense failure to break him open, to redefine his understanding of strength. He realized his own limitations, his own inherent weakness, and it was precisely in that brokenness that God could truly begin to build him up. Before Pentecost, before he became the mighty orator who converted thousands, Peter had to die to his own pride. He had to let go of the fisherman who thought he knew best, the disciple who boasted of his loyalty. Consider the contrast. Before the denial, Peter was a man of action, but often misguided action. After he became a man of God's action, empowered by the Holy Spirit, his conversion was less about changing his personality and more about channeling his fervent spirit through the lens of divine humility. This key of radical humility isn't about diminishing yourself. It's about rightly valuing God's omnipotence and your place within His grand design. It's about recognizing that every gift, every talent, every opportunity flows from Him. And when we truly grasp this, our prayers shift. Our ambitions align with His. Our focus moves from what I can do to what God can do through me. This is why, time and again, we see the saints, the truly powerful figures in our faith, exemplify this profound humility. They understood that to be truly great in God's eyes, one must be willing to be small. It's counterintuitive, isn't it? The world tells us to assert ourselves, to strive for recognition, to project an image of invincibility. But Peter's journey, especially after his greatest fall, teaches us the opposite, that divine doors swing open not for the proud and self-assured, but for those who, with contrite hearts, humbly acknowledge their dependence on God. This key, radical humility, is the starting point for receiving divine power, the foundation upon which all other spiritual breakthroughs are built. Without it, the other 6 keys remain locked, their potential unrealized. Let's move on to the second of Peter's hidden keys, a principle that resonates deeply with our daily struggles: unwavering faith in the storm. We've all been there, haven't we? Those moments when life throws a tempest our way, a health crisis, financial strain, relationship turmoil, and suddenly the calm waters of our faith feel turbulent, even threatening. We might pray, we might hope, but deep down, a flicker of doubt can creep in, eroding our peace. Think back to Peter walking on water. What an incredible scene. Jesus calls him, and Peter, with astonishing courage, steps out of the boat onto the raging sea. For a moment, he's doing the impossible, defying gravity and logic, sustained by pure, unadulterated faith. But then, what happens? He sees the wind, he takes his eyes off Jesus, and he begins to sink. That's our story too, isn't it? We start strong, we believe, but when the circumstances become overwhelming, when the waves of worry crash around us, our gaze shifts from the divine to the difficulty. This key isn't about never having doubts. It's about what you do when those doubts inevitably surface. It's about consciously choosing to fix your eyes back on Christ, even when the storm rages around you. Peter's immediate cry, "Lord, save me," wasn't a sign of weakness, but a powerful act of faith in action. It was an acknowledgement of his need, an immediate turning back to the source of his power. And Jesus, in that moment, didn't rebuke him for sinking, but for his little faith. For the brief moment, his faith wavered, not for the act of stepping out. Now, here's a crucial question for you. How many times do we stay in the boat, paralyzed by fear, never even daring to step out onto the water of our own challenges? And when we do step out, how quickly do we allow the winds of adversity to distract us, pulling our focus away from the one who can sustain us? This key teaches us that true, unwavering faith isn't the absence of fear, but the relentless pursuit of Christ's presence within that fear. It's the conviction that even when we feel like we're sinking, His hand is there, ready to lift us up. Peter's journey demonstrates that building this unwavering faith is an ongoing process. It's nurtured through consistent prayer, through immersing ourselves in His Word, and through actively seeking His will, even when it seems illogical. It's the kind of faith that sustained him through imprisonment, through persecution, and ultimately through his own martyrdom. He learned through trial and error that the divine doors don't just open when conditions are perfect, but often, especially when the storm is at its fiercest, because it is in those moments of vulnerability that our absolute reliance on God becomes clearest and His power shines brightest. This key is your invitation to look beyond the crashing waves and see the outstretched hand of Christ, ready to pull you up and guide you through any storm. Let's delve into the third hidden key from Peter: unwavering obedience to the call. This key isn't just about passive acceptance. It's about actively, decisively responding to God's direction, even when it seems illogical or inconvenient. Consider Peter's initial encounter with Jesus. He was a seasoned fisherman, working hard, accustomed to his craft. When Jesus told him, "Put out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch," after a night of catching nothing, Peter's human experience would have screamed, "No way, it's pointless." Yet he replied, "Master, at your word, I will let down the nets." Luke 5:5. And what happened? They caught such a great number of fish that their nets were breaking. This moment wasn't just a miracle of abundance. It was a profound demonstration of the power of obedience. Peter's willingness to set aside his own expertise, his own logic, and trust implicitly in Jesus' word opened the door to an astonishing, undeniable breakthrough. This wasn't a one-off event. We see this pattern throughout Peter's life. After Pentecost, when the Holy Spirit descended, Peter didn't hesitate. He stood up, filled with newfound boldness, and preached to a skeptical crowd, leading thousands to conversion. Acts 2:14-41. His obedience to the divine impulse transformed a group of frightened disciples into the bedrock of the early church. Think about that for a moment. Peter, the same man who denied Christ, now fearlessly proclaims him to a hostile audience. What changed? His radical humility opened the way for unwavering faith, and that faith fueled his unwavering obedience. It's a progression. We often say we trust God, but do our actions consistently reflect that trust, especially when His call asks us to step outside our comfort zone, or perhaps our financial security, or even our social standing? So far, we've explored how Peter's radical humility allowed God to work through him, and how his unwavering faith sustained him in the midst of life's storms. This third key, unwavering obedience, is the active response to the divine promptings that follow. It's the yes we give when God asks us to serve, to forgive, to share our faith, or to sacrifice. It's the concrete action that translates our inner conviction into outward manifestation. Throughout the Gospels and the Acts of the Apostles, the narrative consistently shows that divine doors open most readily for those who are quick to obey, even when the path isn't perfectly clear. Peter's life provides irrefutable proof. His consistent obedience to Christ's directives, whether it was walking on water, casting nets, or preaching the gospel, consistently led to miraculous outcomes and the revelation of God's power. Are you ready to say yes to His next instruction? Let's now uncover the fourth hidden key that Peter mastered, one that is perhaps the most challenging yet profoundly transformative: the power of forgiveness and restoration. This key isn't just about forgiving others, it's also deeply about receiving God's forgiveness and allowing Him to restore what was broken within us. We've seen Peter's impulsiveness, his moments of doubt, and his painful denial of Christ. These were not minor missteps. They were significant failures that could have easily led to despair and abandonment of his calling. Yet, Peter became the rock, the leader of the church. How? Through a divine encounter with forgiveness and a willingness to embrace restoration. Consider the resurrected Christ's interaction with Peter by the Sea of Tiberias, as recorded in John 21. Jesus doesn't confront Peter with his denial. Instead, He asks him 3 times, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And 3 times Peter affirms his love, each affirmation symbolically undoing a denial. This wasn't a rebuke. It was an act of profound restoration, a clear demonstration that God's love and calling are not contingent on our perfection, but on our willingness to return to Him. Jesus didn't just forgive Peter. He reaffirmed His mission, saying, "Feed my lambs and tend my sheep." This is a crucial nuance. Forgiveness isn't just absolution, it's also about renewed purpose, a fresh beginning. Here's an unexpected lesson often missed. Many people mistakenly believe that once they've failed, especially in a significant way, their spiritual journey is derailed, or that they are permanently disqualified from serving God. They carry guilt, shame, and a sense of unworthiness that keeps divine doors firmly shut. But Peter's story emphatically contradicts this. His greatest failure became the prelude to his greatest empowerment. His brokenness was not an end, but an opening for God's redemptive power to truly manifest. This key of forgiveness and restoration teaches us that God's grace is always greater than our sin, and His capacity for renewal is limitless. It challenges us to extend forgiveness to those who have wronged us, mirroring the boundless mercy we ourselves have received. But just as importantly, it compels us to accept God's forgiveness for our own failings, to release the burden of past mistakes, and to allow Him to heal the wounds that keep us from moving forward. Peter's life is a living testament to the fact that divine doors open wide, not for those who never stumble, but for those who, having stumbled, humbly accept grace, offer forgiveness, and embrace the transformative power of God's restoration. Are you holding on to past mistakes, or are you ready to be fully restored? We've journeyed through 4 of Peter's 7 hidden keys today: radical humility, unwavering faith in the storm, unwavering obedience to the call, and the power of forgiveness and restoration. Each one a profound insight from the life of the first Pope offers a direct path to deeper divine connection. These aren't just historical lessons, they are living principles designed to transform your spiritual life and unlock those very doors you've been seeking to open. Peter's life is a testament to the fact that God uses imperfect people for extraordinary purposes. He chose a man who was impulsive, who failed, but who, through humility, faith, obedience, and an embrace of forgiveness, became a pillar of the church and an instrument of God's miraculous power. The impact of these keys on your life can be immense. Imagine facing your challenges with an inner calm that only comes from knowing God is with you, guiding you. Picture yourself stepping out in faith, responding to His call with courage, and witnessing breakthroughs you once thought impossible. Envision the freedom that comes from truly forgiving and being restored, unburdened by past failures. This isn't just theory, it's a blueprint for a life overflowing with God's grace and presence. The journey to unlocking divine doors begins with applying these truths right where you are, right now. Now, as you reflect on these powerful keys, I invite you to take the next step on your spiritual journey. If this video has brought you light, insight, or renewed hope, please like this video so this message can reach even more people who are searching for deeper connection. Your engagement helps us spread these vital truths. We believe in empowering you with inspiring content that builds your faith. So, if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel to continue receiving transformative messages on Peter, the saints, and practical spirituality. Just click the subscribe button and join our growing community. What was your biggest takeaway from today's discussion? Which of Peter's keys resonated most deeply with your own experiences? Share your reflections in the comments below. Your perspective is incredibly valuable, and your insights can bless others in our community. Finally, if you know someone who is struggling, someone who needs to hear this message of hope and divine access, please share this video with them. You have the power to inspire others and help them unlock their own divine doors. Remember, the keys are within reach. It's time to use them. Step forward in faith, embrace these ancient truths, and watch as God opens doors you never imagined possible. Your journey of divine discovery has just begun.